What is up, everybody? Happy 2018 and welcome back. The Dark Lord here with you, Thor Gunderson, and we're here for a whole new year. Sith Happens, full year Sith Happens. And we got our usual suspect here. First, I want to introduce, coming to you live from Coruscant, Jedi Craig.
Hello, everyone. Up in orbit right now. Things are good. A little cold up here, but doing all right. Welcome.
Is it Coruscant or is it Mass Effect?
Hey, what's...
And also, we have a bounty hunter coming to you from Jabba's palace. You can see Lord Vader out there hanging with him. What's happening, Paradox?
Hey, what's...
And also, we have a bounty hunter coming to you. So today, we have... Oh, my bad. Thought it was muted. Sorry. So anyhow,
okay. What's up, guys? Happy New Year.
Yeah, welcome back for a whole new year. Sith Happens. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We got some topics we want to get to today, but also we got a giveaway we're gonna do later. Jedi Chris got a question for you and everything. But before we get to that, anybody get any new Star Wars pieces? How you been doing? What's been going on? We'll start with Paradox.
Hey, what's up, guys? In terms of Star Wars pieces, I just got recently the Death Trooper premium format from Sideshow Collectibles. I'm actually really excited to do the unboxing for that piece. So besides that, I think that's about it in terms of Star Wars pieces that I got recently. How about you, Thor?
Well, no Star Wars pieces since Boba, I believe. So I did. My wife got me Mace Windu Saber for Christmas. You know.
Oh,
so,
nice.
And everything. So I gotta get some mounts. So you know, well, you're not hanging these things up yet. I mean, you know, so.
No, that is an epic lightsaber.
Oh.
I've always wanted one, man. It's just I can't find them anywhere.
Goku's the one I want to find. That was extremely expensive and hard to find. You know, so. I'll keep looking. Oh. What about you?
Yeah,
Chris, you obtained any Star Wars paraphernalia over the holidays?
Man, do I have a story for you guys. Okay, so I just to sidetrack a little bit, I just finally finished the new Thrawn book. It is awesome. I actually was going into work thinking kind of like him. It was funny. But I got the Canto Bight book. It's a 4-story series. I'm excited to actually read it and find out some backstory about the planet full of opulence and charismatic folks. But a good thing happened before Christmas, and I think I shared the photographs with some of you guys. But a friend of mine at work, I'm going to do a shout out. Trevor Brady, thank you very much for doing that, and Ian, thank you for backing him up. They went to a premiere with Ryan Johnson, did a Q&A before the Star Wars The Last Jedi movie. He actually got Ryan Johnson. Shout out Trevor Brady. Thank you. The Last Jedi action figure, Luke Skywalker and Rey. Wow. Basically, say, "May the Force be with you," and he signed it, Ryan Johnson. So that's hanging up in my man cave as we speak. So that's like super awesome.
That's what's up.
Yo, that's an awesome pickup, man.
Ryan Johnson, if you're watching, thank you very much. Appreciate it. You know, thank you very much.
Actually, can I say something about Ryan Johnson real quick? He's actually a really stand-up guy. I went to actually a Star Wars Celebration, and from what people were telling me that waited to see the panel, the Last Jedi panel, I think people were camped out. And he actually came out and signed everybody's perfect, like badges for the Last Jedi panel. It's crazy. He's a really nice guy.
That's awesome. That means a lot, especially in Hollywood. You know, everyone's busy and they don't have time, but to make time for your fans, I think it speaks highly of the characters. So I like that.
I think he spent like 2 hours signing everybody's badges on the line. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
So,
well, without further ado, let us begin with our topics for the week. And this first one, I'm really hoping this is not true because I'm really looking forward to this movie. Disney's put out some posts that they are expecting Solo to bomb in the theaters. I mean, you know, bombing with normal movies and bombing with Star Wars, that's two different references. Like, say Solo makes 400 million worldwide, that wouldn't be a success because it's Star Wars. But I can't understand their thinking on that. Maybe, you know, maybe it's a good thing because what they consider good, we consider to suck. So hopefully it's vice versa with this. So Paradox started out, man. What are your feelings about this this news about Disney thinking that Solo is not going to be too successful?
I mean, I'm really on the fence on this one, guys, because I mean, to me, The Last Jedi I wasn't a great, you know, Star Wars movie in my opinion. So basing it off of that, piggybacking off of that, I don't know how Han Solo is going to be. I'm going to go in there with a lot of like doubts about the movie, and I hope I'm wrong. And also, there were so many things like that was brought up during the production of Han Solo. You know, like what's his name? I can't even say the actor's name. Aldrin Eldrick or something like that. I forgot. Alden Henrik. I can't even say his name. But there was an acting coach that was hired specifically to help him, you know, through his dialogue and stuff. And to me, you know, Han Solo is a very charismatic character, and to have problems trying to, like, you know, with the acting process of it, I mean, this is Han Solo. So if you have the main actor having problems with acting as Han Solo, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of doubts. Also, there was a lot of stuff like, you know, going back and forth with, you know, the producers, Kathleen Kennedy, and the directors of the movie, where the directors of the movie shot like 75 to 85% of the movie and then gets fired. So that in itself is like another red flag. You know, Ron Howard, you know, I'm a big fan of. You know, I liked his prior work. So, you know, we'll see. Like, hopefully he could salvage whatever, you know, they filmed, and, you know, whatever they filmed, you know, for the movie. So we'll see how, you know, that comes about to, you know, when the movie comes up. So,
Jedi Chris?
Well, honestly, I think if they would go and stick with some of the canon stuff, the novels, like the Han Solo trilogy that had Paradise Snare, the Hutt Gambit, and Rebel Dawn, and it talks a lot about Han Solo's early life and how he came to be, how he got the Falcon, you know, all those things that his character basis, you know, being a guy that was kind of on the brink of, you know, committing crimes, and then corrects himself and joins the, you know, the Imperial Navy, and now he's a smuggler, and then he becomes part of the Rebel Alliance. I mean, you've got so much to work with. You really don't need to sit there and try to think stuff up. It's already there, and all the new comic books that are come out with Chewbacca, Han Solo, and you know, even Lando Calrissian. I think they have so much stuff there. They really don't need to dig. I'm worried about the movie bombing myself, because I know with Rogue One, it was definitely a pleasant surprise because no one knew what to expect.
Right.
And it turned out to be really good. And everyone knows a lot about, at least the fans, we know a lot about Han Solo, you know, and to me that you get nervous when you start teetering with a single character who is very strong and a main catalyst of the rebel process, you know, all the way up to episode 7, where he, you know, meets his demise. Dang it! But he's one of my favorite non-Jedi folks out there, because he was just as ruthless and cunning and a great pilot, great tactician, really good at sabacc, you know, a math game. So yeah, his character is huge, and we all expect something great. So it's almost that fear of, okay, well, we just saw episode 8, The Last Jedi. We're like, uh-oh, no, what's gonna happen now?
For those who don't know, sabacc is how he won the Falcon from Lando Calrissian.
Well, yeah, of course.
So, I mean, to me, this kind of leads into our next topic. If it does bomb, and if it is, you know, like if it's not a good movie, like they're saying, it directly reflects on Kathleen Kennedy. She picked the first 2 directors, which she got rid of. Then she picked Ron Howard, you know, to clean it up. And if it still some garbage, you know what I mean, what does that say about her? And she's producing the movie. And what got me, what I read about when they got rid of the first set of directors, was she wasn't around, so they called her up when they were telling her, look, this isn't going so good, and you need to come down here. So like, where was she? If you're producing this movie, where are you? You're not hands-on with this. That bothers me, you know. And it would be I would be crushed if this movie is not good, because I was really looking forward to this way more than I was looking forward to episode 8. You know, much as I love Luke and everything, Solo, I've always wanted to see the Outer Rim and the smuggler runs and the Kessel run and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But how he won the Falcon, how he meets Chewie, you know, well, our interpretation and their interpretation of how he meets Chewie, you know, is different, because they, you know, Disney probably wants to make it their own. And I don't know, it would really break my heart if this movie was not a good movie, you know what I mean? But Rogue One, you know, Rogue One being good is kind of encouraging, but again, we got different directors and all the calamity that's gone behind in the scenes, you know, that's disturbing. What do you say, Paradox?
No, I was. Well, I mean, like, I was going to ask you, do you think Boba Fett's going to be in this movie?
Oh, definitely. He's got to be in this movie. You know what I mean? Because at some point, if this is truly Han Solo's story, you got to show how he meets up with Jabba and starts working for him. And obviously, if there's Jabba, you got Boba. You know what I mean? And I think this would be a good opportunity if they do choose to, which I hope they do, which they do choose to make a Boba Fett movie on its own. That this would lead directly into that. You know what I mean? It would, if they're smart, that's what they would do. You know, you would have some kind of link up between this and the Boba Fett movie. But of course, we heard they're making an Obi-Wan movie, which I'm not too crazy about. You know, because how much more do we need to know about his life on Tatooine? You know what I mean? But we'll see.
I hate sand.
Yeah. Well, you sure to watch it? What are you talking about?
No, I mean, I'm not saying I won't watch it. I just think I just think we would need a Boba movie way more than we need an Obi-Wan movie right now. You know,
Amen, brother.
You know what I mean? It's just I've always wanted to see him get more time, and because I think he was they just wasted him, because he could have been a even better character, you know, if you got deep into him.
Hey, Thor, remember that you were gonna say? I mean, you told me before about like when you first saw Vader in Rogue One.
Yeah.
In the last scene, I will do the same thing if they show Boba Fett in the movie theater.
Yeah. Paradox is on the quad.
He'll be there. I promise.
I'm gonna do the worm naked. In the movie theater.
Oh, you talking about that? Oh yeah. Well, see, no, it wasn't Rogue One. It was see, because I knew Vader was gonna be in Rogue One, but
really?
It was the first one, Force Awakens. You know what I mean? If be it Force Ghost or anything, Vader showed up, I was gonna take all my clothes off in the theater. You know, it didn't matter. So, but of course he didn't show up, much to the delight of everyone else that was in the theater. So, yeah, no, I understand. That's your man. You know what I mean? And everything. Yeah, but yeah, I'm really hoping this is not true, because I've been looking ever since they announced this movie. I was personally really looking forward to it. You know what I mean?
Can I paint a scenario for you guys?
Sure.
Can you imagine Han Solo meeting up with Jabba for the first time, and right in the back is all the bounty hunters?
Oh, they'll be close, you know, because Hutts they keep their crew close. You know what I mean? That's part of their power. You know, Hutts they like questionable entertainment. That's why he loved when Boba bought him in the Carbonite. You know, they like stuff like that. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was really looking forward to this movie. You know, we get to see more of that side of Star Wars. You know, as much as I love Jedi and Sith and the Force and everything, I wanted to see the underbelly, the underworld, the smuggling, the spice run, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I just think that if done right, that has the potential to be golden. You know, Suicide Squad can take a walk, you know, compared to stuff.
Nice.
I'm sorry, Chris. I think you were going to say something before.
No, I just started thinking about it. Yeah, as much as I really do want to see Obi-Wan. Don't get me wrong. I think, especially if they can get Ewan McGregor, that'd be awesome. I think we've had, you know, roughly what, 6 movies.
Thank you.
With Obi-Wan in it. We've had what, just a handful of movies. With you had what, episode 2, episode 3. Actually, not even episode 3. Mostly episode 2. Then you showed when they did the redub in '97. You saw there at the 94 in episode 4. Then of course episode 5 and episode 6 in the Sarlacc pit, and then that was it. And when we all know that Boba Fett's done a lot more, and then unfortunately in the non-canon stuff, even up to age 70, he's still hard to beat and can still take out Jedi. So if we can get that guy that played the Comanche Indian in the Magnificent Seven, because Thor actually turned me on to that. I actually sat and watched the movie, and it was good. It was good. I was impressed. So and I'm also a Denzel Washington fan, so I mean it was all good. So but yeah, it'd be interesting if they do that.
Good pickup on that, Thor. Seriously.
I'm telling you, when I saw that movie, that was when I saw that scene when he was fighting the other Comanche, I said, this dude needs to be Boba Fett. That was first thing popped in my mind. You know what I mean? So one can only hope.
I hope so.
Yeah, Disney, if you're listening, find out that actor's name and pick him, because he's perfect.
Just watch the movie. You'll see what we talk about.
Watch Magnificent Seven on a Star Wars show.
So here comes, now this will be a very entertaining subject here. I can't wait to hear Paradox talk about this.
Hey, should we do the trivia question before we go off on a tangent?
Oh yeah,
I think that's a good idea. That's
yeah. I have a feeling we might
we're gonna be giving away this R2 and 3PO Coda Bakias, that brand new inbox. See, if you can see it, the seal's still on there, unopened. Hit them up, Jedi Chris.
All right, for our favorite galactic scoundrel, who's obviously better looking than a scruffy looking nerf herder, Han Solo. All right, for all you ladies and gentlemen out there watching right now, how did Han Solo meet Chewbacca, and what book? Okay, not comic book. What book did that first appear? And go. Thank you.
I can't wait for in the comments.
I kept it simple.
So, the supreme leader of Star Wars is not Snoke, it's Kathleen Kennedy. And as of yet, she's done a marginal job, to put it at best. So what is her deal? Where does she come from? What's her credentials? I mean, actually, after reading up on it, she has a quite extensive resume, you know what I mean? And so I guess she was worthy of taking over Star Wars, but what is she doing to our beloved franchise is what we want to know. And I believe Paradox would like to begin in this discussion.
Yes. Thank you. Kathleen Kennedy. To be honest, she's done quite a few films, and she's achieved a lot throughout her career. Don't get me wrong. I think she was part of Abyss. She was part of E.T. I think she had her own company, Albin Turner. With her husband, that she worked with Spielberg throughout the Indiana Jones franchise at Jurassic Park. So she has good credentials, great credentials, if anything. So I guess when Disney brought her to be the president of Lucasfilm, it was a no-brainer. Now, what she did with that was questionable. With Force Awakens, with telling everybody to the whole world about, George Lucas will be our advisor to Star Wars. And then next bye-bye, George. And George was during the interview and during the signing process, he was like, yes, I'm happy that Kathleen Kennedy, Disney's going to be taking over my films. I have so many, there's tons of videos of it. I have so many stories, I would like to give it to them, pass it on to them. Then what Kathleen Kennedy does, she says, thank you, but no thanks. Like, and my question is that would George Lucas have given the rights to Disney had he known Kathleen Kennedy was going to do that? Because, I mean, that's his baby. And for someone, I mean, like, if it was you, if you were in George Lucas' shoes, like, would you want to pass something on that you created to someone that would take care of it, not throw it in the garbage?
Of course.
Correct? And Kathleen Kennedy is doing that. Like, I don't know, like someone gave her like magical powers and she's just like destroying everything. Like, I don't know. And like doing whatever she wants to do. With the movies, she's like firing directors left and right. She's like, if you cross her the wrong way, you're fired. I mean, from a business point of view, that's just bad business practice. It just, people don't respect you that way. Don't get me wrong. She's done quite a few things that, are great. She brought us Rogue One. She's bringing us all the movies that we want to see. But how she does it is not what I like. With The Last Jedi, I think she was trying to, and I think with all the Star Wars movie, she was trying to promote a lot of, like lead female characters. But Star Wars didn't need that because, I mean, Star Wars was a pioneer for lead female characters. Look at Princess Leia. Mm-hmm. She held her own, correct?
Correct.
I mean, if anything, they set the, Princess Leia and Sigourney Weaver with Aliens were back then set the tone for a good female movement with being a lead actress back then. So I don't know what's her deal. I mean, I could go on, and I just don't want to take up the whole episode talking about Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, there's still time. Hopefully, she listens to the criticism. I have faith in her, and hopefully, she listens and tries to correct her ways, and hopefully gives us great Star Wars movies to come.
Well, I mean, let's just take a look at Solo, shall we? The timeline with that. I mean, they hire Lord and Miller, the two directors at the beginning. Then we hear words that they're trying to make a Star Wars comedy. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And then, so then she gets rid of them. She hires Ron Howard. Now they're saying that Solo's going to be garbage. You know what I mean? That's all on her. You know what I mean? And she's got good pedigree. When I read the movies that she was, we talk Indiana Jones, E.T., Schindler's List, and she's a Spielberg pedigree. So, I mean, what happened to you? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? All this exposure to one of the greatest directors of all time. That should who George Lucas always wanted to direct a Star Wars movie, but due to union contracts and stuff of that sort, bad timing, or he had other commitments, it was never able to happen. Really surprises me the way that she's handling this situation. You know what I mean? And but I think, okay, now she's doing the feminist thing, which is fine. I don't think everyone should be a woman, because a lot of the officers are women, and a lot of the screen time, you got the, Rey as a woman, which is fine. I got no problem with that. I think, now here's my opinion. If you really want to add women to the story, I think we need a female dark side user. Oh, really spice it up. Now, enter
Darth Tally in the background. So, yes. Amen, brother.
This week.
Amen.
Let's go to this is very coincidental. Maybe somebody listening to me after all. So, this is a little off topic, but it's kind of related. Sophia Boutella was signed to be Lady Death in Avengers Part 4. You see, and she was always my pick to play Darth Talon. So they both are Disney. Bring her over to the dark side and let's paint her red, Darth Talon. Mm-hmm. 2020, whenever the damn movie come out. You know what I mean? But I'm just joking, but I'm serious. That I think is what we need now. If we bringing in women for major roles, we need Darth, woman, whoever. You know what I mean? And I think that would be, I don't know, maybe we're gonna get it. Maybe Rey will ultimately turn to the dark side, and that leads into this next Ryan Johnson trilogy. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Who knows? Jedi Chris, what you think, bro?
No, I think having strong female roles, I think it's beautiful. I mean, growing up, let's face it. I mean, there was very limited like clothing line and stuff for kids, because it was, you know, girls had the pretty stuff, and then the boys would have like, you know, tough kid or Star Wars stuff. And there wasn't a whole lot of Star Wars stuff for girls. Now you see it. And, you know, I have a whole lot of nieces and nephews. So, you know, it's cool that I actually can go buy Star Wars stuff for my nieces and nephews and friends that, you know, have daughters and stuff, because there's a line for it now. And the thing that bothers me with the movie is, yeah, having strong female roles, I think, are great, having the character base, but all the bad characters are male. So it's like, all men supposed to be, you know, oppressive and all this stuff. I mean, the scandals going on in Hollywood and all that other stuff, it's almost like, is it kind of shadowing or bleeding into our place in a, you know, far away? But at the end of the day, yeah, I agree that, you know, there are just as many vicious female villains in the Star Wars chronological storyline, even the non-canon stuff, that they definitely need to balance it out a little bit. You know, let's face it, because you got, you know, young kids want, you know, they look at these characters, they want to aspire to be these characters, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, these guys are bad and you know, girls are good. It's like, well, now you're creating a whole new generation of complexes, man. So let's balance it out, you know. Talking on behalf of Kathleen Kennedy, you know, she's done so much. I mean, I was doing research on her, you know, for the show, because I know she's done a lot of things, but people might not be aware that she's been a part of 60 films, you know, give or take, probably more than that. But then she's been, you know, those films, 120 been nominated for Academy Award, and she's been responsible for over $11 million worldwide, top 3 grossing films. So I know Paradox, you mentioned some of the movies that she's been a part of prior to signing on with Disney, because she was part of Amblin, you know, Spielberg and all that. And then her husband, last name is Marshall. I'm trying to remember his first name. Oh, thank you. So the bottom line is, you know, now she's in control. She's in this seat where she's got the Star Wars, you know, script, and she's going to make it her way. I mean, it's a business thing. I get it. But I see the fans. I've read a lot of articles over the last several weeks. Fans are nervous. They're furious. It's easy to blame Kathleen Kennedy, but at the end of the day, you know, she works for somebody else, and that person and the panel that she has to go, the committee that she has to go and talk to, have to agree to it. So she is the figurehead. I get it. Do I think she has an opportunity to fix, you know, with the Han Solo movie and Episode 9? I think she has an opportunity to fix that. We're all nervous about where the Star Wars franchise is going. I understand they're trying to get new generations, but you can't step on the old generations that have kept this thing funded and floating for, you know, 40 years now, actually over 40 years now. So you can't step on that. I know things in the past can't drive today, but it's definitely a marker of, you know, how we can drive the future, so to speak. So that's my philosophical view as a Jedi, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we got here somehow, you know. So,
and we're the ones that you see in Target at 8 a.m. trying to pick up those Black Series.
Midnight Madness, waiting for
Midnight Madness. Yeah. You don't see any 14, 15, 16-year-olds or even 21-year-olds going. It's us, you know, the old school generation that picks the merchandise up and pass it along to our kids. And, you know, like we, you know, teach our kids like, oh, the Force and the Star Wars and all these things. Don't crap on us. You know, don't forget about us. We brought Star Wars where it is now because of us. And just touching upon like the feminist thing, I have no problem with it. I really don't. I just have a problem when you're overbearing and, you know, putting everyone like females and, you know, like what Jedi Chris said, like, and the guy's bad. All the guys are bad, you know, and just, you know, just have a good balance. Just like, and I agree with Jedi Chris on that.
And the 16-year-olds definitely not pre-ordering these premium format statues that we buying either. So
oh no,
I haven't met one yet. No. It's been the 30 and up, you know, crowd that's been doing that. So
yeah, I mean they're into like their trap music or whatever they listen to nowadays. I feel like an old fart, man. I am an old fart, but still,
Okay,
Just don't forget about us, Kathleen. Kathleen Kennedy, if you're listening.
Speaking of old, the music that you used to rock out to in high school, when they've turned it into an instrumental version inside the elevator that you're riding, you're old.
That's
all right. That's when you realize, oh my gosh, is that really Bon Jovi and an instrumental? Like, oh my gosh, I'm old. All right.
Actually, Thor, I really hope that they listen to what you said about having a dark side emperor or supreme leader female.
Right. Or even the apprentice. I'd actually rather be the apprentice because I want to see her do some saber duels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's necessary. You know what I mean? If you really want to inject women into the thing, we need a dark side female. You know what I mean? Because I think that would be cold as ice. In my opinion.
Well, they've done it in the cartoons, guys, and that's great and dandy. They had Asajj Ventress. But
she's badass too.
And then was it Barra Sophie kind of crosses over, you know, but bottom line is it's not making it into the movies, you know, and if you're seeing it on a big screen, and there's rumor about a live action TV series as well, along with the new cartoon series that takes place, I want to say, was it like episode 4 or 5 all the way to episode 8? So it's going to be filling in some backstories and other skirmishes in the galaxy far, far away. And you know, Jedi Chris will be watching because that's what I do. And to me, it's gonna create more market. Yeah, it's a business thing, and there's gonna be more toys and posters and clothes and statues and all kinds of stuff. But I agree. Let's not lose sight on, you know, we have a target audience. They're trying to create a new generation of target audience, but how is that new generation going to learn or at least be exposed to the new stuff? It's because their parents and really cool uncles are going to be saying, hey, let's come watch this show, or, hey, check out this cool toy in Target or Walmart or Toys R Us, or, you know, whatever. Here's Spencer's and Hot Topic, you know, I'm just, you know, naming stuff. But anyway, they always have cool stuff. Well, who's going to say, hey, check this out, man. This is a Boba Fett ball cap. It's really cool. You know, because if they just walk by, they're going to go, oh, cool. There's, you know, Pokemon. And you're like, oh, the Star Wars is cool. You know, Pokemon's cool, but Star Wars is awesome. Star Wars is life.
And who's going to tell them about the story of Boba Fett, the story of Darth Vader? Us. And actually, right before I came on, you know, we went on live, I was having a lightsaber duel with my kids, you know? So it's just, you know, we pass this along to the kids. So, like you said, we don't forget about us.
I agree.
Please.
Kathleen, can you please, you know, help us out? Help us help you.
Yes, exactly. You're our only hope, Kathleen Kennedy.
So, I think we've covered her enough.
I think so too.
So. Yeah. The second half of the final season of Star Wars Rebels is coming up soon. We don't know when yet. They haven't announced it. And we want to get everybody's thoughts. But first, we want to give like an overview of the entire series since it is coming to an end. You know, who your favorite characters, what were your favorite moments, and everything. JC, we're going to start with you this time.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I've been following it since day one. Got my son hooked on it. He liked the Star Wars Clone Wars, but obviously the episode 6, season 6, Lost Missions, that only came out on DVD. I haven't shown him that yet because it's pretty dark. He hasn't seen, you know, the last half of Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith because it is dark, and he's pretty sensitive to that. But Star Wars Rebels, it's like our bonding time. Like we sit and watch it, and he loves Ezra Bridger and Kanan Jarrus and you know, Hera and Ezra. I mean, Zeb and Sabine, and of course Chopper. You know, who doesn't like a droid who's eccentric and grumpy all the time? You know. So yeah, and I try to make the sounds because I have a 6-year-old, so it's good. But the series right now, okay, so we've got what 11. Because 2 of them were kind of back to back. So if it's on your DVR, it says you only have 9 recorded, but in fact, the first 2 were an hour long because they're 2 shows. So to me, it feels like they're tapering off. You know, what they're doing is okay. Now they're doing some skirmishes still, obviously, and Grand Admiral Thrawn, excuse me, is, you know, making his presence known. You're getting to see just how of a methodical, calculated tactician that he is. Like I said, finishing the Thrawn book, I mean, just amazing. Anyway, so hopefully we get to see some more of that, which I know we will. I don't want to spoil the Thrawn book, so I won't say anything about it. But it ends pretty pretty awesome. Leaves it open for obviously a new one, which there is a new book coming out called what's it called, Alliances or something like that, with Darth Vader and Thrawn, and that comes out sometime this year. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's get back to Rebels. Okay, so Kanan and Hera have a relationship. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. The book that takes place before the Rebels cartoon era starts, they meet and all this other stuff. Well, now they're trying to reconnect that romance, that relationship, and it's just like, you know, at what time do we stop this fighting so we can, you know, live a life? You know, because let's face it, if you keep fighting, are you really living the life that you're trying to defend? So that became a theme in this first half of season 4. And we've gotten to see a lot of the Mandalorian stuff. To me, the whole planet, the people, the infighting that they do, the different clans, very, very much reminiscent of the Scottish and the Irish clans back in the day, and the big fighting. And then once the fighting was done, there was a big party afterwards, you know, and you honor the dead. And it's barbaric, but it's really cool. It's with the futuristic twist to it. It gives it a finesse, and it gives it this depth that I think if you paid attention in history class in high school, to me it actually resonates, because we've kind of lived it in our history, and now we're seeing it in the future, and it's really, really neat. The dark saber, I think, is one of the coolest things ever was presented. You know, having a Mandalorian Jedi in the past. But the thing is, where are we going? You know, we have maybe 11 episodes left of Rebels. And it seems like they're kind of plateauing a bit. And notice how I'm not giving away too many spoilers for what we've seen, but there's, the little skirmish, there's a little win, there's a little loss, there's people that died, there's things that have been destroyed or lost. And then all of a sudden now we're at this pinnacle. Now we've got between 9 and 11 episodes, depending on how short they want to make season 4, excuse me. Where's it going to go? Because I have a feeling it needs to tie in to, because if you all saw Rogue One, if you see the fleet, the Ghost is right there. All right, so here, and then of course when they're talking, you hear General Syndulla, please report. So that, again, Hera. So they mentioned that.
Chopper was there too.
Yeah, and then I can't think of the fish face guy, but he says Carabas, as the explosions are happening on Scarif. Well, that's what Zeb says all the time. So apparently that must be a universal cuss word. So I would like to see that show tie into either the Battle of Scarif or the Battle of Yavin, which I think where they need to go. And then from there, if there's going to be characters that we lose, I would say the Battle of Yavin, the Battle of the first Death Star, where we lose some of our loved characters. That gives it more credibility, and it ends on a note where it's like, you died a warrior's death. Their Paradox Vet, you died the warrior's death. To me, it's an honorable way, saving a friend's life. If their characters are going to die, I think they need to do it kind of like Urso and Cassian Andor. They just kind of just looked at each other like, hey, this section of the planet is going to be vaporized. Like, why run? Let's just enjoy the moment before we turn into, dust. So I see that happening. I don't know if they're going to do that, but to me, that would be the best way to end the season, tying it into Rogue One or the Battle of Yavin, which to me are two very big pinnacle movements in the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire. So, Paradox, what do you think?
Just want to explain like how I got into Rebels. I was a big fan of the Clone Wars. I love that show. And when Rebels came along, I watched like maybe the first or 2 episodes, and I watched it with my son, and it was just like, my son loved it. But for me, it was like, okay, this is a little cartoony, a little kiddish, and I could see why if there people that haven't watched it yet might think like that, like, oh, it might be like too Disney, too cartoony. But I felt like that with the first season. It was good and ended it with a good note, but season 2 just skyrocketed, like, yes. It just took off, and I was just like, dove into a lot of history of Star Wars, a lot of Sith, Jedi history. And then season 3 was amazing, and I don't want to go into it too much, with Obi-Wan and all the other stuff there. And season 4 start off great, and this is the last season with season 4. But like you said, Jedi Chris, where are they gonna go from here? And with the mid-season finale, there was none. It just kind of like, that's it. Like there was no like, oh, next year or in 2 months, this is where it's gonna pick off. It just kind of like ended abruptly, and we're like, when's the next episode? So that kind of gets me worried. But I'm really excited to see where the characters end up. My favorite is actually Sabine Rex, just because she's part of Mandalore, the Mandalorians. I like the whole backstory on that. And I'm not being biased.
No, of course not.
But I really love that storyline with the Mandalore. That's just an amazing storyline. Grand Admiral Thrawn, like we read him in like the expanded universe. You read the books, but to see him on like TV, on the TV show, and showing how great of a tactician he is, he's my second favorite, if anything, character of Star Wars Rebels. So for those people that haven't watched the show, please do. It's an amazing show. If you feel that season 1 is a little slow, just get through it and start off with season 2. It just like crazy, like just goes skyrockets to the space with the show. But and I don't want to bore you guys, but hopefully it ends up with tying into Rogue One. And like you said, Jedi Chris, I agree with you. I hope they give them, if they are going to die, like Jyn Erso and Cassian death. And I'm curious to those who actually survive, where they end up in the future, or if they do like a fast forward 30 years from now, or maybe they're still lingering around the Star Wars universe, maybe in The Force Awakens, or like somewhere along that line. That'd be cool to see. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I love Rebels. I love the thing I love about it, first and foremost, even more than the story, the voice acting is outstanding. The people they got to do these voices, Thrawn, I don't know who's doing Thrawn, but this guy he's perfect, cold, monotone. Doesn't get upset. I love Rex. I love the fact that they're bridging even more, from episode 3 to episode 4. This is a perfect bridge between both. Now, obviously, season 2 is my favorite season, and y'all know why.
Yeah.
And the fact that
yes,
that James Earl Jones does the voice, I swear to God, every time I saw it, I had goosebumps everywhere. You know what I mean? And it was just magnificent. I just couldn't believe. Every time I watched it, I still couldn't believe. I was like, my God, they got James Earl Jones to do the voice. And and like you say, Paradox, they got deeper into Jedi temples and Sith temples and Sith holocrons, and and stuff you never. But I think the main thing that I was most impressed with is the evolution of Ezra. You see him at first, he's, I ain't gonna get too, I'm not telling you anything major. He's out in the street and he's stealing and everything. And then all of a sudden, he learns about it. He's sensitive and force, and then he gets trained. And then all of a sudden, the beginning, I think it was the beginning of season 3, this dude is destroying everybody. I'm like, holy, And it's magnificent. I like Clone Wars a lot, but this smokes Clone Wars, in my opinion. Even though it's Anakin and everything, this if you have not watched Rebels and you're a fan, you're definitely missing out. I know it's a kids show and everything, but some things that happen in that show is, I'm surprised they let kids see that stuff.
That's true. Very true.
People die. Yeah,
people die, and I'm talking about viciously so. Then you get to see what ultimately happens to Darth Maul and everything, and that scene gave me goosebumps as well. And that's another thing, because we just mentioned Obi-Wan. The guy sounds just like Alec Guinness. When I was like, my God, You know what I mean? Just like they did on Rogue One with Grand Moff Tarkin. You know, I don't know how they're doing it, but it's incredible. I mean, because on the show, the man sounds just like Sir Alec Guinness. You know what I mean? And going forward, it is a lot of questions left unanswered. You know what I mean? It's stuff that's on Rebels. You know, because remember, this takes place. If you don't know, Rebels takes place between Episode 3 and Episode 4. Mm-hmm. So there are things that are on this show that are not, like, I'm talking about vehicle wise and everything, you know, that the Empire has that you don't see in Episode 4. You're like, well, so how do you not see this? So I guess we're going to find out. But also, you know, the characters, you know, we don't see any of these characters besides the, you know, because some of the main people show up on the show occasionally. You might see Leia or somebody, but the Ghost crew, none of them are in the original trilogy. So, you know, do they die, or, you know, what happened? So it's a lot of, like you said, we only got, what, 9 episodes left, and there's a lot of answers left, you know, a lot of questions left unanswered. So we'll find out, you know, and you're right, Paradox, when they stopped it, the next 3 weeks I'm going on when I got home, I'm like, what the hell happened to Rebels? You know what I mean?
I thought my DVR stopped recording.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. I was like, you know, because I just moved in and I thought they gave me some Section 8 video, you know, cable system and everything. And so I was like, what happened to my Rebels? And oh yeah, they went on a break. Oh, but thanks for telling us, Kathleen Kennedy. So, but yeah, Rebels is a special show, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. Yeah. Great all around, great voice acting, great storytelling. You know, Dave Filoni should really be commended. And there's going to be another cartoon that comes on after this. Now, I have no idea when it's going to take place. I'm hoping it's between Empire and Jedi, or even after Jedi. That would even be better. You know what I mean? So we can see what happened after, you know, the so-called fall of the Empire or whatever. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch base on not the Vader, the Maul and Obi-Wan. If you watch that closely and you analyze it, it's such an amazing fight scene. You know, it's amazing. I mean, to be honest, I think it's better than Phantom Menace one.
If you really know the mechanics behind it,
yes.
But see, because I remember a lot of people, they were like, "That's it," and then, but when you look at it and you're like, "Oh, I see what happened," you know what I mean? And if anybody, and I can't see the chat because I had my thing on, it was making noise, but I'll explain it to you. Anybody wants to know, you know, you message me, I'll explain to you why it was so short and what it was that happened. And because I know my cohort, Rodney, Darth Castle. See, Darth Maul is his favorite character. And when I showed him that, he hadn't seen it, and he took my boy out like that. I was like, this is why he took him out so fast. You know what I mean? Darth Maul made the mistake in that duel. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a great show. It really is a great show, and I can't wait to see the next one that comes out.
I just want to throw in a little something real quick. The character development for Rebels compared to The Last Jedi and Force Awakens with those characters, amazing. Such good story arcs, storytelling compared to The Last Jedi. I just want to throw in a little Last Jedi, you know.
You know, that really made, you know, I thought about that after I saw Force Awakens. I was like, why did they not just let Dave Filoni do the movie?
Yeah, he's an amazing. He's a good storyteller.
When I mean, you know, this is off topic too. I was like, when they said they were going to do the DC movies, why not just like let Bruce Timm do the movies? You know, he did such a good job on Batman. So same thing. Why not just let Dave Filoni, right? You know, do the content, and you know, I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, I like these characters. Just comparing these characters better.
Exactly.
Than The Last Jedi. I have more connection with these characters. Exactly. So if they were ever to die or pass in any of the episodes, it would hit me. I'd be like, oh man, they let Zeb go or blah blah blah. You know, I mean that wasn't a spoiler. You know, just talking.
Everybody still thinks that it's Rex that was in Return of the Jedi. Remember when Han Solo and them broke into that base on Endor, and then they come outside, you see that old man with the beard. Everybody thinks that's Rex.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's cool.
I mean, because he does look like him, you know, on the show. When you see him with the white, looks kind of like Santa Claus, you know. So we'll find out. you know,
we'll find out.
JC, anything to add, man?
Yeah, you're talking about the character basis, and you know, I agree. Season 1, I think you're building the character. Season 2 skyrocketed, and then they got really interesting with Ezra. You know, his force ability is growing too quickly and teetering on the dark side, and all of a sudden, one of the ancient Bendu knights shows up, and it's this big, you know, coral reef looking dude. Which I thought was pretty awesome because he wasn't good, he wasn't bad, but he definitely challenged Kanan, and I'll obviously put a hurt on with Admiral Thrawn's fleet, and now we've got this. It's like we're coming to a pinnacle with the Rebels show, and I would like to see some of these characters, you know, show up and we've seen it already. That not only are they in the Star Wars movies. You know, Dodonna and all those other guys, they're actually in the cartoons, so there's some overlap there. And you know, Admiral Akbar, I like to see him in this cartoon. I think Dave Filoni, I got to meet him a few years ago, back when Clone Wars was introducing Death Watch and all that stuff. So got to go out to the Presidio there in San Francisco and did a private screening in Lucas's private theater. And it was just amazing to hear how they came up with the concepts. And Dave Filoni is just a very nice guy. He loves his job. He's a good team builder. And I'm really hoping that, you know, Disney keeps him for the new cartoon. And yeah, I agree. Maybe even teeter in maybe the live action TV show, maybe one of the standalone anthologies. I think he'd be great because a lot of these anthologies are kind of taking place in between episode 3 and episode 4. So, you know, as I'm stacking my movies, because I have all my movies in these leather-bound packs, you know, with pages. Star Wars isn't. It's still in their cases, lined up in chronological order, including fan films and all that stuff. And I would love Dave Filoni to even, you know, kind of reach out of that the animated side, because it is computer animated. They do a lot of CG stuff in the movies. So he's just, you know, having him and somebody else work with live actors, because, you know, they work with the voice actors like Freddie Prinze Jr. and the other folks that do the voices. I think it'd be great. I'm sad. I'm sad to see the season end because, like I said, it's a bonding moment with my son and I. And the cool thing is, growing up, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but back in the late 70s, early 80s, all the heroes were guys with blonde hair, blue eyes, you know? So here's a kid with, you know, hazel brown, green eyes, and, you know, we can't tell now, but brown hair. And I'm like, well, I wanted to look like my heroes, you know, and Luke Skywalker, you know, and so now you got guys with dark hair. You got guys that, you know, brown skin. You've got guys that have, you've got guys with, you know, that are kind of anti-heroes doing the right thing. You've got strong female characters, different ethnicities. To me, it's so awesome that, you know, everybody can have somebody they can resonate to and want to be like. And I mean, that's probably one of the cool things that Disney's done. I don't want them to overplay it. I don't want them to push. Just keep it natural, like life is, you know. Be good. I do want to announce we have a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. So, Alex Thomas.
Alex Thomas.
Yeah, you get to win.
Wait. Alex Thomas, who?
That's the name I got. So, my question was, how did Han Solo and Chewbacca meet, and in what book, you know, did that originally happen in? Well, as you all know, Han Solo was kind of on the little life of crime. He was, believe it or not, married before everyone. And then he ended up joining the Imperial Navy. He was a lieutenant. They had boarded a slave ship. And there was this young Wookiee, about 200 years old, who was a little downtrodden. And he was ordered to basically, the term was, you know, skin this Wookiee, because obviously he wasn't paying attention. Lieutenant Solo refused to do it, and so he basically was kicked out of the Imperial Navy. He in the book, he even says that it's like he saved Chewbacca, but actually Chewbacca saved him, because Han Solo was going down a path that he didn't agree with. But of course, then he becomes a smuggler and all that stuff. So yeah, that's how they met, on a slave ship. And then what book was that? Okay, well, yeah, no spoilers here. It was part of the Han Solo trilogy, and the book was called The Hutt Gambit. So Alex Thomas, kudos for you for that. It is a tough one. I have to go through my books to find out what's a good trivia question. So I don't just sit there and try to, think something up on the spot. I actually do a little research, and I try to keep it interesting. But for the folks that are watching, we are going to start. If the prize is really awesome, really huge, I'm going to make the questions harder, just so you know. So it could be non-canon stuff too, for those that have read the books.
We need a really hard question for next time, because yes, next time Sith Happens comes on, the Dark Lord himself.
Oh, wow.
You see that? Where there you go. Oh, where's the switch out? There's the switch out. See?
Look at that. So ladies and gentlemen, you need to start reading some of them books, get into the comic books, because Jedi Chris is gonna throw a serious wrench in the cogs there. So get brushed up.
But C-3PO and R2 for you, Alex Thomas. Congratulations. I hope it's the Alex Thomas I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Make sure you send your contact information to the Collectorverse, and we'll get that shipped out to you, man. So congrats.
Congrats, Alex Thomas.
Alex.
Yeah, Han Solo is one of my favorite non-Jedis. So again, thank you for taking the time to research it and get us the answer. So kudos, brother.
All righty. If anybody have any final comments, Paradox?
No, I just want to thank everyone that watched the shows. Definitely stay tuned. We got more stuff that'll be coming, more interesting topics and stuff that'll be coming up, and awesome prizes. So thank you guys out there for taking the time watching the show.
Definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you. Now we're gonna be back on in 2 weeks. The CV show will be on next week. Now it's bi-weekly and everything. So give us time to get more topics together, get more prizes together. And yeah, we thank everybody for watching, and may the force be with all of you, my Jedi and Sith brothers and sisters.